Okay, class, we are already in week 4. Now, in week 4, we will cover choosing a site builder and a host. This is really where we start to get your website up and running. So a site builder is where you will design the look of your site. Your host is what you will need to purchase to get your website online. Think of it in these terms. A host is where the files will actually be stored for your website, and a site builder is where you will create how it looks. Now, oftentimes, the site builder and the host are now combined, and I'll give you a couple examples of that. We separate them out in this course because they really are different products. It's important to understand the difference between the two. A lot of times people just feel like they're purchasing quote a website, but they really are two separate products, and it's important to understand both. It can be confusing, however, if you're going out to purchase a site builder and then you're looking to purchase hosting, but you could have already purchased it when you bought your site builder. So I'm going to try and walk you through that a little bit so that doesn't get confusing on your end, even though it's important to recognize them as two different services. The other note I'll make on here, and this is a theme we'll continue throughout the course, one of the things I like to touch on in this is you are creating an actual business, is to focus on Christ-like business principles. And this is the first point in the semester where we're actually beginning to interact with other businesses, because you really can't build your own business without interacting with other businesses. And it's important to begin now to think about the type of person you want to be, think about the type of example you want to be. You will be a representative of the church, and because of that, a representative of the Savior in everything you do in your life, including the way you own and operate your business. And when you choose a site builder and you purchase hosting, there will be many opportunities to interact with these companies, some of them very frustrating. And so it's good to think now about the type of person you want to be and type of business you want to be when interacting with others. So I won't spend a lot of time on that today. We'll spend a lot of time on that in the remainder of the course, talking about how to build a business that represents really who you want to be, and putting into practice Christ-like business principles. So we'll start with choosing a site builder. As I mentioned, a site builder is where you're actually going to put together your site, and there's really simple ways to do this. Now, the first type is called the drag and drop builder. Really simple. You as the name implies, you have different components of the website. You drag them onto the screen and you drop them in. So you want picture here, you want text here, you want a link to go to this page here. You can pick from templates of essentially already built website, and you just fill in some content. They've made building websites really easy. So Weebly, Wix, WebStarts, those are kind of the more common names. Webs.com I've used. I haven't used all of these. I've used the majority. There's some demo pages here, but you can explore for yourself, and that's what this assignment is about. Go explore, go try some out, see what works for you before actually purchasing an option. Wix is becoming very, very popular. You do need to keep an eye on what they offer. You will need a payment function on your site, whether or not your business plan is to accept payments. You do need to be able to either accept payments or put ads on your website to generate revenue from advertisements, one or the other. And so you want to think about that as you're looking through different site builders. Wix.com, I know, specifically requires kind of a higher package to be able to accept payments. But look through these and see what works for you. Tons of different options there. I've used a lot of them, and drag and drop builders are very easy. Content management systems are the next category. They're much more powerful tools, but they require some coding understanding. WordPress is probably the most well-known. I cannot emphasize enough that for this class, I do not recommend WordPress. If you've used it in the past and you just love it, then by all means go ahead. If you have not, I strongly discourage students from using WordPress. There just seems to be a number of issues with WordPress every new semester, whether it's how it interfaces with Google Analytics or putting Google AdSense if you want advertisements on there, just things we'll do later in the semester. WordPress makes it extremely difficult. Students have had to spend a bit more money there. I just don't recommend it unless you've used it, you swear by it, and you certainly can use it. I encourage students not to. Squarespace is a little bit more expensive, but I hear great things about it. I personally have not used it, whereas WordPress I've used numerous times, built numerous websites on the platform. I'm comfortable in that space. Squarespace I haven't used. I hear good things about it, but again, to do a content management system, you need a little bit more coding knowledge. You're going to do some coding. You're going to do some more complex stuff. It's not building something from the ground up, but it's a little bit more complex. And then the last section is essentially building a website from scratch. You are allowed to do that if that's what you like to do. Obviously, it's very involved. I've done it numerous times. It takes a long time to build things from scratch, but if you're comfortable in that space, you can do that for this class. It is certainly not a requirement. We will do very little coding, mostly just a couple cut and paste snippets for Google Analytics here and there. So coding is not required for this class. You can use that if that's in your toolbox. Then you'll go through and do a similar thing to past weeks. You'll do a Word document with a brief essay talking about the tools you analyzed. It needs to be at least 150 words in length, and then you'll create a quantify and compare spreadsheet to quantify and compare 3 of the tools with 3 criterion that you analyzed in your Word document. So that'll be it for a site builder. Now, if you choose a site builder like Wix, you're going to purchase hosting and site building at the same time. In fact, Wix requires that. So pay attention when you're looking at site builders, because it may choose hosting, which was our second topic. You'll have the discussion board, obviously, on site builder, or on choosing a site builder, and then we'll go to choosing a host. A reminder, your Project 1 choosing a product is due on February 1st. If you're watching this video and you have not started on it, please start immediately. It takes a lot of time, and you want to make sure you get through that with enough time. It is a foundational document for the course, so please take your time to do Project 1, but that is due February 1st. Let's jump into choosing a host, which will be very similar to what we just went through. You will do a quantify and compare spreadsheet on 3 alternatives for hosting, and then a Word document that covers these questions. So you'll turn both of those in. The notes are here, how to choose a host, and you can go through different hosting companies. Bluehost, HostGator, GoDaddy are very common host companies, but again, take a close look as to whether or not your site builder offers hosting. You can also go to these host companies. Some of them offer a site builder, so they do the reverse. You'll purchase hosting from them, and then you can use their site builder. So plenty of options. Sometimes they're linked. Sometimes you'll choose a site builder platform and a host separately, but it's more and more common to have them linked. And that will be it for this week as far as due dates. You'll have a weekly reflection. Now, I will go through Project 2 here as well, but that is not due this week. This gets confusing, right? Due end of week. These are the instructions for Project 2. You want to get started on that right away, because like Project 1, Project 2 is a little bit more involved. The other 4 are not quite as involved, but Project 1 and 2 are. But do not forget, excuse me, do not forget your reflection this week. Let's jump into project 2 to finish up here. And project 2 is essentially creating and launching your website. That's the long and the short of it. You do not have to have a finished, polished website for this project. You don't have to have the finished product. You'll go through these different tasks. There's videos on how to do project 2, but really it's just going through different tasks, making sure you have a host and a site builder, choosing a domain name. This is an important piece. You need to choose an independent domain name. So when you create a site on Wix or Weebly or many of the others, you can choose your domain name. So it's mycompany.weebly.com. That's not a domain name, an independent domain name. You need to purchase a domain name. So it will be mycompany.com. That is one of the requirements. Then create the website. Really, we're just looking for you to have the basic structure, the basic pages. You don't have to have all your content on there. Just a basic structure. And then this task 5 is very important. You need to enable your site so transactions can be done. Either integrate PayPal or another one, another third-party payer. It doesn't have to be PayPal. That's definitely the most common, but there's plenty out there. You can become an affiliate or put advertisements on your site. So if you have affiliate links or if you have advertisements on there, that's considered a transaction. You're generating revenue from that. You need to have the ability to generate revenue. That's what task 5 is about. So those are your options. Put something on there like PayPal or put PayPal on there. Have affiliate links or put advertisements that will generate dollars. So when you submit, I'm looking for 3 things on this. You have your own independent domain name. It doesn't say .wix.com or .wixsites or .weebly. It's your own domain name that you've purchased. Most of the necessary pages, navigational links, some attempted design, you just need to have the basic structure on there. I won't be too picky on that. And then integration with a third party to enable financial transactions. That's it. If you're missing one of them, you'll have 44 points. If you're missing 2, you'll have 39 out of 50. So it's a lot of students feel like this is a lot, and they'll say, well, I'm not ready to launch a site. Online an online business is different. We don't do a grand opening per se. When you launch this website, customers won't be able to find you. We haven't optimized your site to be found on Google. We haven't advertised yet. You want to get your website up and running first, and then try and drive traffic to it. It's the opposite in a physical store. They'll build the store and advertise and do a big grand opening. We don't do that online. It's getting found online takes time, and it's a slower process. So you really want to get your website out there to get started. So that is week 4, which includes project 2 explanation. Please reach out if you've got any questions or concerns. Thanks, everyone.